Sometimes the most painful break isn't the one that unfolds in front of cameras or dominates newspaper headlines. It's the one that happens behind closed doors, when a trusted ally quietly steps away, calls go unanswered, and a relationship that once seemed unshakable slowly fades into silence. For years, one man was widely regarded as a steady source of support for both Prince William and Prince Harry after the heartbreaking loss of Princess Diana. He remained in the background, away from the spotlight, offering guidance and stability through some of the most difficult chapters of their lives. But now, fresh reports suggest that this long-standing bond may have reached a turning point. If those reports are accurate, Prince Harry may no longer be able to rely on someone who had stood by him for decades. But that wasn't the whole story. What could have caused such a significant change in one of Harry's oldest and most trusted relationships?
Elton is actually quite upset with Harry for several reasons.
For many people, Elton John is a global music legend. But within the royal family's story, his role has long carried a far deeper meaning. Long before Prince Harry and Meghan began their life in California, Sir Elton had already become closely connected to the family through one of its darkest moments. In 1997, the world watched as he delivered a deeply emotional tribute to Princess Diana during her funeral at Westminster Abbey, adapting one of his most famous songs into a farewell that resonated with millions across the globe. In the years that followed, royal observers often viewed Elton John as more than a family friend. Reports over the years have suggested he was a trusted source of encouragement for both William and Harry, offering quiet support as they navigated life without their mother. While he rarely sought attention for that role, his presence was often seen as a reassuring constant during difficult times. But that wasn't the whole story. If someone who had remained such a steady figure for decades is now stepping back, what could have changed? The answer may lie in the events that unfolded behind the scenes.
Harry may have to spend millions, because loser typically pays when you lose a lawsuit in the UK, and he, to put it frankly, got his ass handed to him by this.
However, the biggest revelation came later, and it has sparked intense discussion among royal watchers. Reports circulating in the British media have claimed that the long-standing friendship between Prince Harry and Sir Elton John may have reached a breaking point. Among the claims attracting attention is that Elton reportedly made it clear he could no longer be viewed as a financial safety net. Those reports remain unconfirmed, but they have fueled widespread speculation about the current state of their relationship. If there is any truth to these accounts, it raises a much bigger question. Friendships that have endured for decades rarely unravel because of one difficult conversation or a single disagreement. More often, a defining moment simply exposes tensions that may have been building quietly over many years. That's when everything changed. Was this merely a misunderstanding, or was it the moment that revealed a deeper shift in one of Prince Harry's longest and most trusted relationships?
Some people have said he's going really off his rocker. This has been so bad. It's literally the week where nothing went right. It's his worst week in 30 years.
Just days ago, Prince Harry faced a major setback in one of the most significant legal cases of his life, following a ruling in London involving claims against the publisher of the Daily Mail. Reports indicated that the case ended in defeat for the claimants, with substantial legal costs expected to follow. The financial implications quickly became a major talking point, given the scale of the litigation. But that wasn't the whole story. According to recent media reports, Sir Elton John had been among those supporting the legal action from an early stage. As discussions turned to the potentially enormous legal costs, attention shifted to what allegedly happened behind closed doors. Reports claim that after the court ruling, Prince Harry approached Elton once again, this time over a separate matter unrelated to the legal bill itself. If those reports are accurate, that conversation became the turning point. Royal commentators suggest it was not the court defeat alone that placed the friendship under strain, but what allegedly followed afterward. The situation took another unexpected turn, leaving many wondering whether this was simply a difficult moment, or the event that permanently changed a relationship built over decades.
He used to have the Bank of England and now he's got the Bank of Elton. Harry needs a lot of money for Invictus. The only reason he went to England this summer is to raise funds for Invictus Birmingham 2027. He is £25 million short.
To appreciate why these recent reports have attracted so much attention, it's worth looking beyond the headlines. This isn't a story about a friendship that began a few years ago or one built on celebrity status alone. If the reports are accurate, they involve a relationship shaped by decades of shared history, personal loss, and mutual trust. We'll explore how Sir Elton John became one of the figures most closely associated with Princess Diana's legacy, why Prince Harry's recent legal challenges have placed renewed focus on that bond, and why one reported response has become the subject of intense discussion among royal commentators. But first, it's important to understand how that connection was formed. Long before today's headlines, Elton John and Princess Diana shared a genuine friendship that was widely acknowledged by those around them. When Diana tragically died in 1997, Elton paid tribute in one of the most memorable moments of the funeral service at Westminster Abbey. He performed a specially adapted version of Candle in the Wind, a performance watched by an enormous global television audience and remembered as one of the defining moments of that day. The recording of that tribute later raised millions for charitable causes established in Diana's memory. Equally significant, Elton chose never to perform that version publicly again, explaining over the years that he believed it should remain a unique tribute dedicated solely to her. In the years that followed, reports consistently suggested that Elton remained a supportive presence for Princes William and Harry as they grew into adulthood. While he largely stayed out of the spotlight, many royal observers viewed him as someone who quietly honoured Diana's memory by maintaining that connection with her sons. However, the biggest revelation came later. If someone who had stood beside the family through its darkest moments is now reportedly stepping back, what finally persuaded him that the relationship had reached its limit? That's the question many are now asking.
Elton John may be called upon for Harry's legal bills, because the legal bills, and I think we're about to find out in the next week how much he could be up for, could be in the tens of thousands. And that might actually bankrupt him, which would be a disaster because, let's be honest, every venture that these two have been on has been a disaster. I don't know how much money that they're getting. And so Elton, according to Paula, has had enough because he might be the one that has to bail him out.
For years, Sir Elton John wasn't viewed as a distant celebrity acquaintance who occasionally crossed paths with the royal family. According to those close to the family, he remained a steady presence in the lives of Princes William and Harry during some of their most difficult years. In fact, Elton's husband, David Furnish, once described him in legal documents as a parental figure to Prince Harry, a remarkable description that speaks to the depth of their relationship. That bond was visible long before the current controversy. In 2007, when Prince Harry organised the concert for Diana to honour his mother's memory, he reportedly asked Elton to perform the special version of Candle in the Wind that had become forever linked to Princess Diana's funeral. Elton declined, not because he didn't want to support Harry, but because he believed that particular tribute should remain unique to Diana's farewell. Instead, he chose to perform Your Song, offering support in a different but deeply personal way. Many saw that decision as an act of care rather than refusal. What happened next surprised many royal watchers. Prince Harry himself later acknowledged how much Elton meant to him. In his memoir, Spare, He wrote with genuine affection about the music legend, expressing that his love and admiration for Elton would always remain. Those words have taken on new significance as reports now suggest their friendship may be under strain. The connection didn't end there. Elton attended Harry and Meghan's 2018 wedding, later performing at the private reception. When criticism of the couple intensified after their decision to step back from royal duties, Elton publicly defended them, saying he felt a responsibility to protect Harry and his family from the kind of intense media attention he believed had contributed to Princess Diana's suffering. That's why the latest reports have attracted so much attention. According to British media coverage, the recent High Court ruling involving Prince Harry and other claimants has created enormous financial consequences. Harry, Elton John, David Furnish, Baroness Doreen Lawrence, Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost, and others were involved in the legal action. The court dismissed the claims, meaning substantial legal costs are now expected to follow, although the final amounts and each party's individual financial responsibility have not been officially determined. However, the biggest revelation came later. Some reports claim that early funding arrangements meant certain participants believed they would not personally face legal costs if the case failed. Those same reports suggest Prince Harry and Sir Elton John had agreed to shoulder much of that financial risk themselves. These claims have not been fully confirmed, but they have fueled intense speculation about the pressure now facing everyone involved. Following the ruling, Prince Harry publicly criticised the judgment, describing it as a whitewash. The decision itself followed an extensive written ruling explaining the court's reasoning in detail. Legal analysts have also noted that complex civil cases of this nature often carry significant financial risks for unsuccessful parties. Following the court's decision, Prince Harry publicly criticised the ruling, while commentators and legal analysts debated both the outcome and his response. One detail, however, drew particular interest from royal watchers. Although Sir Elton John had been associated with the wider legal action, he did not publicly join Harry's criticism of the judgment. For many observers, that silence was as noteworthy as any statement. But that wasn't the whole story. According to reports, Prince Harry's visit to the UK wasn't focused solely on the legal case. He was also said to be meeting potential supporters ahead of the 2027 Invictus Games in Birmingham, where organisers have publicly acknowledged the need for significant fundraising. Media reports suggested Harry hoped to secure additional financial backing during the trip. That's when everything changed. Several British outlets have claimed that after the legal setback, Harry also approached Sir Elton John regarding support connected to Invictus. Those reports further allege that Elton declined and that this conversation became the true turning point in their decades-long friendship. These accounts have not been independently confirmed by the people involved, but they have dominated discussion among royal commentators. One reported phrase has received particular attention. According to multiple media reports, Elton is said to have made it clear that he was not an ATM. Whether those exact words were used remains unverified, yet the phrase has rapidly become symbolic of the wider narrative surrounding the friendship. If accurate, the significance goes far beyond money. For decades, Elton John had publicly stood beside Prince Harry during some of his most challenging moments, supporting him after Princess Diana's death, celebrating his wedding, defending him during periods of intense media scrutiny, and backing causes that mattered to him. That history is precisely why reports of a possible breakdown have resonated so deeply with royal followers. Meanwhile, questions have also been raised about Prince Harry's broader financial commitments. Public reporting has noted the costs associated with personal security, maintaining his California home, and funding ongoing projects. Although Harry has earned substantial income through publishing and media partnerships, commentators continue to debate how sustainable those commitments may be over the long term. Without access to his private finances, however, any conclusions remain speculative. The situation has left many asking the same question. If one of Prince Harry's oldest allies is truly stepping back after decades of unwavering support, what does that mean for the relationships he has relied on throughout his life? Recent reporting has highlighted the growing financial pressures surrounding several of Harry's legal battles, along with the ongoing costs of personal security and maintaining his family's life in California. While estimates about his finances vary widely, one thing is clear: the legal disputes of recent years have come at a significant price, both financially and personally. But money may not be the biggest issue. Royal commentators have increasingly focused on something far more difficult to measure: the gradual loss of trusted relationships. Over the past several years, public discussion has often centered on Harry's changing connections with people who were once viewed as close allies. Whether those shifts are the result of personal disagreements, changing circumstances, or media speculation remains open to interpretation. However, the biggest revelation came later. According to recent reports, Meghan is also said to have had concerns about Harry's decision to continue pursuing lengthy legal battles, although those claims have not been confirmed publicly by the couple. As with many stories involving the Sussexes, separating verified facts from anonymous reporting remains important. Meanwhile, one undisputed fact has added another emotional layer to the story. Sir Elton John has spoken publicly about experiencing serious vision loss in recent years. At this stage of his life, the music legend is facing his own personal challenges, making the reports surrounding his friendship with Harry all the more poignant for many observers. If even part of the recent reporting is accurate, then this story may be about much more than legal bills or fundraising. It could represent the end of one of the most meaningful relationships Prince Harry carried with him from his mother's generation. For decades, Elton John was more than a famous musician connected to Princess Diana's legacy. He was someone who stood beside Harry through some of life's defining moments, honoring Diana at her funeral, celebrating Harry's wedding, publicly defending him during periods of intense criticism, and remaining a familiar figure throughout much of his adult life. That's why the current reports have resonated so deeply. If a friendship that lasted nearly 30 years has truly reached its limit, it raises difficult questions about what comes next. Can such a bond ever be repaired? Or has one of the final living links to Princess Diana's closest circle quietly slipped away? Only those directly involved know the full truth behind these reports, and until they choose to speak publicly, much of the speculation will remain exactly that: speculation. One thing, however, is beyond dispute. Prince Harry now faces a challenging period marked by legal setbacks, renewed public scrutiny, and growing questions about the people who remain in his corner. Whether this chapter becomes another obstacle he eventually overcomes or a turning point that reshapes his future is something only time will reveal. And now we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe the reports about Harry and Sir Elton John's friendship reflect a genuine change in their relationship, or do you think the story has been amplified by media speculation? Share your perspective respectfully in the comments below. If you enjoyed this in-depth royal update, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more balanced coverage of the royal family, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next report. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.